Gonna bless you. We still had a minute. I'd like to call the Butte-Silver Council of Commissioners regular meeting for Wednesday, February 21st, 2024 to order. Clerk, could we please have roll call?
12 present, 0 absent.
12 present, 0 absent. So, Commissioner Soares, could you lead us in the prayer and the pledge?
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive, fellow commissioners. Almighty God, we implore you, look upon us and guide us this night as we make decisions which will greatly affect our community of Butte-Silver. Direct our thoughts, words, and deeds so that we please you and best serve our fellow citizens. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes for the February 7th, 2024 regular meeting. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I move to approve the minutes from the February 7th, 2024 regular meeting.
We have a motion and a second approving the minutes from February 7th. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yeas, 0 nay. Motion passes. We don't have any items not addressed on tonight's. Oh yes, we do. We have a special meeting or suspension of the rules. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. In accordance with the provisions of Section 6 of Rule 6 of the Rules of Business of the Council of Commissioners of the City and County of Butte-Silver, State of Montana, the Council hereby finds that an emergency condition exists which requires that the Council rules be suspended to allow Communication 2024-94 to be added to the agenda of the February 21st, 2024 regular meeting of the Council. The reason for the suspension is as follows. Communication number 2024-94 is a communication from Angie Mulliken, Public Works Department, requesting authorization for the Chief Executive to sign a Notice of Award, NOA, to Battle Ridge Builders regarding the rehabilitation of the Basin Creek Dam No. 1 project. This communication was not submitted by the deadline for items to be placed on the February 21st, 2024 regular meeting agenda because notification from the granting agencies that the bids for this project were acceptable to them did not occur until after such deadline. However, in order to be able to have the contract for this project submitted for approval at the next regular meeting of the Council on March 6, 2024, following execution of the NOA, and thereby allow the contractor to begin working on this project on a timely schedule, Ms. Mulliken is requesting this communication be added to the agenda of the Council's February 21st, 2024 regular meeting. Based upon the foregoing, and to allow this matter to be acted upon, the Council hereby finds that an emergency exists which requires the suspension of the Council's rules to add communication number 2024-94 to the agenda for the February 21st, 2024 regular meeting. I move to approve the suspension of the rules to consider placing communication number 2024-94 on the agenda at the February 21st, 2024 regular meeting.
We have a motion and a second placing communication number 2024-94 on tonight's agenda. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yeas, 0 nay. Yeas, 0 nay. Motion passes. Moving on to the Chief Executive's report. Lots of things happening in our community over the last few weeks. I just got back from Helena, met with a number of communities about the ongoing property tax debate that's going on. The governor has created a task force They're addressing the property tax issues. A number of communities, along with some legislators, met today to start talking about potential opportunities to work together to work on the issues that we're having around property taxes. And so there's more to come on that, but there's a lot of, I think, throughout the state, people realize that we have to figure out what to do with property taxes, because the system that we have right now is not working. And so the challenges that we have is to have bills ready to go and have that energy behind it, and the legislative power behind it to make change when they get there. And so I will keep this body and the community updated on what goes on with the committee that we're working on, and hopefully have some bills brought forward to be addressed and sponsored that represent our community. So more to come on that. As you just passed for the emergency suspension of the rules, we're starting to open up bids to get work done on our ARPA projects. This one is to start working on the Basin Creek Dam. So this is a great thing for our community. This is an infrastructure project that needs to be done. Otherwise would have fell on the taxpayers' shoulders to get this done, because the dam is failing. And so getting this started is a real positive for us. The challenge that we'll have is the dam will be worked on, so the level of the Basin Creek Reservoir will have to be dropped a little bit this summer. And with that, meaning that the capacity that we may have to use will be diminished as well. So there may be early in the summer that we'll have to push for water restrictions based on the availability of water. We don't want to take, we want to be respectful to the use of water, and when we have to pull from the big hole to offset some of those costs and water that we need. So we may have to work with water restrictions in Butte-Silver Bow earlier than normal. We'll have to see how the spring goes, but even with the wet spring, to hold that water in the dam when we have to drop that down, it'll be impacted by that. But we also have other projects like the Silver Lake, all of the infrastructure that we have moving forward with those. You'll see more bid openings coming forward, so those ARPA projects are coming to fruition. Other things that are going on, I know that there's been a number of issues in the community, and I kind of want to address one is that people ask why, as chief executive, I didn't take a position on the issue that was in front of the zoning board with Maverick gas station going to them. And I want people to understand that our zoning board, by our charter, is a quasi-judicial board, meaning that they have authority. Anything that goes in front of them is a decision that they take, what the issues are or whatever is brought before them, and they make a ruling on that. The chief executive and this body here has no authority to override anything that goes in front of the zoning board. And the reason I say that, I want to make it clear, if you look at anything that's gone in front of the zoning board, I have never gone to the zoning board to try to influence any decision or impart what my thoughts are on that, because what that could do is it could put Butte-Silver Bow in a liable position, saying that we are unduly taking a position against either for or against something that comes in front of them. So that's why you've seen that I was silent on the issues that go in front of the zoning board. That's been my position on any matter that's gone to the zoning board. And so I never want to take a position that could jeopardize Butte-Silver Bow in any kind of liable situation. So I just wanted that to be clear as well. And then I also kind of wanted to address the ABC News Station report that they did, a national report, which was a fantastic deal for Anaconda Deer Lodge. And I'm not here to pit Butte against Anaconda, but it did prompt me writing a letter to the EPA to talk to them about the position of screening levels as opposed to action levels in Butte-Silver Bow, what we expect. This is the time now that the EPA can take those screening levels and put Butte on the action level that is responsive and is equivalent to what they are to the community 30 miles away from us. And my problem with that report is that they did not reflect Butte in any kind of good light. And I know that in Commissioner Fisher and I kind of had some communication back and forth. This is not a negative against who got interviewed on that. What the negative for me is that it portrayed Butte as a desolate community that has had no cleanup in it. And Butte-Silver Bow, as of 2020, has had $400 million of remediation done in our community. We have water lines, we have stormwater, we have many amenities in our communities that have come about because of remediation. We have a long ways to go. We have positions that we need to take that are responsive to those things. But I want people to understand Butte's a great place to live. There's been a lot accomplished over the years that Butte-Silver Bow, our government in this body and others before us have been there to make sure that this cleanup is important to our community. So we'll continue those conversations. There's a lot of changes at EPA, but I want people to understand and just, I think, as I said, we just got done meeting with Sonata the day before, showing them why they should come to Butte. And the last thing I want them to do is go back to Norway, have their board of directors Google Butte, Montana, and then have a report that shows that of what's representative of Butte, the Berkeley Pit, and an active mining site. They didn't visit any of the things that we have really going for our community. And so that was what was disappointing. Nothing against Anaconda, nothing against the people that were interviewed there, because I would, if somebody asked me to talk about Butte, I would have done the same thing. So that has nothing against any of the people that were interviewed. It was just how they portrayed Butte that was very disappointing. So with that, we've got a lot to do. We got a lot of things going on in our community. And with that, I think we have a lot of people in the audience that are here that want to come up and speak today. So I will close the Chief Executive's report. So next, we'll move to any public comment on any item on the agenda tonight. Come forward, state your name, your address, and what you'd like to speak to us about.
And Council of Commissioners. Thank you for that. My name is Carrie Smith. I am the Director of Operations for Headframe Spirits. I live at 2514 Bayard Street, and I'm giving public comment on item number 2024-71. My voice is a little shaky, I'm a little nervous, so just be patient with me, please. I began working at Headframe just over 10 years ago. I started as an entry-level bookkeeper, and it is now my privilege to be the director and to lead Headframe into its future legacy, into an era where Headframe is owned by its employees. Many Butte residents don't know much about the investment that Headframe has made into Butte's hillside. During the recent tours that you were all invited to, our intent was to open our space to showcase Headframe's past, present, and future at the Kelly Mine site. To each of the commissioners that took time out of your personal schedules and outside of the weekly meetings to join us, I want to thank you. I know that it can be difficult to make space for that extra. The dedication that each of you has to Butte and to your constituents is really important, and for that I'm very grateful. For those of you that didn't make it, please do still reach out to us and come see us. Our doors are completely open to you. In the years that Headframe has been operating, our owners have taken the profits from the company and either reinvested into the company or invested into its people, creating stable and competitive jobs with great benefits. We have health insurance, we have a very solid PTO policy, holiday pay, and the opportunity to invest in a 401k plan. Said better, Headframe's purpose isn't to line our owners' pockets. Headframe's vision is to produce quality jobs and value for the communities we serve. In fact, our owner's main objective has always been to give back to its employees and sell the company to us. The next objective, to serve our communities. To date, Headframe has donated over $385,000 back to a variety of communities. I tried to make a list for you all today, but it went on and on and on, and I don't have time for it, so just know that the list is lengthy. What that list wouldn't include is the number of baskets and bottles that we've donated into the community for fundraising efforts. I don't think we've ever turned a request away. We hold Drink It Like You Mean It events in the tasting room that showcase a variety of groups and nonprofits, donating a portion of that night's sales. Headframe has helped create a program called Good Deeds. It's a partnership with distilleries across the nation that donate product, the sales of which provide $75,000 to women and minorities with scholarships who seek education in distillation, a very much man-dominated world. We use our platform to promote products and special labels like Dispatch Whiskey to give back to first responders, our breast cancer awareness label to support the Butte Local Fund to provide breast cancer and cervical cancer screenings. When COVID hit, we prioritized our operations to provide hand sanitizer to the local healthcare systems, first responders, and anyone else who needed it. We didn't lay off a single person during that time. Nobody lost their jobs. We have a paid community service plan that expects each of our employees to spend 20 hours in the community volunteering. My time at Headframe started as a leap of faith in a very small and unpredictable company. But Headframe has allowed me to put down roots in my hometown, invest in my hometown, and it has provided me a job from which I believe that I will retire. I want that same thing for others. I'm asking that this council take a similar leap of faith for Headframe and for its employees. Please vote immediately to support our request to expand the lease to the entire Kelly site. I also ask that you'd be willing to consider selling the property to Headframe before the end of 2024's calendar year. By doing so, you would be ensuring that we can continue operations and meet our customer-based efforts. I ask that you will support us in our endeavor to provide a legacy for our community, to provide jobs in Butte, and not just for the 50-year contract that we have signed, but beyond. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. And I am going to put a timer on here. And yours, you did perfect, just so everyone knows, so everyone has their time to speak. So thank you. Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. Welcome.
Hi, ready?
Yes.
First of all, good evening to the council and everyone in attendance. My name is Mackenzie Quinn. I'm the marketing manager at Headframe. I live at 1924 Carolina Avenue, and I'm giving a public comment on item 2024-71. First, I'd like to say that I have much love for Butte. As a transplant, I still absolutely adore our town. I'm celebrating 4 years now in Butte. And I'm proud to work for a company that is so open about loving our place in the world and the people that are in it. Secondly, and the reason why I'm up here today, is to support the amended lease between Headframe and Butte-Silver for the Kelly warehouse. You've heard a lot of back and forth in the last few weeks, and I understand that, and John McKee is going to speak later, so don't worry. But I believe it's important for us to recognize the impact that Headframe has for the people who work there and the community at large. Headframe is not just my job security, it's my partner's job security. It's the reason why we're here. They offer competitive wages and benefits that make it possible for employees to invest in our community in ways like buying a home or potentially becoming future entrepreneurs. They offer paid volunteer hours, like Carrie mentioned, and they encourage us to become connected with our neighbors. But at the end of the day, I want to be a part of something that's bigger than selling stills or slinging spirits. For instance, right now we're celebrating our leap year birthday and 12 years at Headframe, and I'd like to take a moment to invite each and every one of you here and everyone in the audience to join us on February 29th at 5:30 to celebrate. But this celebration isn't about us, and nothing that we do is about us. It's about the badass people of Butte that continue to support one another no matter what. For the whole month of February, we have been and continue to use our space and our platforms to raise funds for 3 incredible nonprofits right here in Butte: the Butte Spay and Neuter Task Force, Hungry Hill Art Center, and the World Museum of Mining. Every dollar donated the entire month goes right back to them and is then matched by not just Headframe, but 3 other local sponsors who agree with our vision of moving Butte into the future and supporting one another, turning $1 donated from anyone in the community to 3. Company values say a lot, but our actions say a lot more. And that's why I stay at Headframe, but more so, that's why I stay in Butte. because of what we've built and what we continue to do on a daily basis. I don't want to live in a place that's so concerned about preserving the past that we miss out on our future. So, in honor of our past and the Mavericks that made history right here, right before us, let's move Butte into the future together with the approval of this amended lease. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mackenzie.
You're not going to need that. Good evening, Chief Executive and Council Commissioners. Matt Moore, 1830 Howard Street. I've had an awesome opportunity to work at the Kelly in two different aspects, one for Butte-Silver as Operations Manager of Metro Sewer, where we use the Kelly warehouse as a garage and showers for our Metro Sewer division. I was a little miffed when I was working at Butte-Silver when John McKee came marching in with his architects and his gang to take away my facility from me. And then later, having worked for a head frame as manager of manufacturing. The absolute investment in what they have done to that building is phenomenal. A lot of the times in engineering, we talk about asset management and highest to best use of our facilities. The Kelly warehouse was kind of a dump. We had a big hole in the middle of the floor where their manufacturing floor is. It was dirt. It was pretty rough shape. Half the lights didn't work in the building. And when they moved in, they really made a phenomenal facility to manufacture in. So I really support what they have done, and I would love to see them continue to put money and invest into that facility. I think that its highest and best use would be in their hands long term. There's a lot of neglect, and I want to say neglect on Butte-Silver side, but it's not the highest investment that we need to be putting our county resources in. And Headframe has been shown that they can do a great job of using that facility to their highest best use and hopefully generate significant tax revenue. They are doing amazing things up there, and I think we should support 2471. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Good evening, Chief Executive Gallagher and the Council of Commissioners. My name is Heidi Rosenleaf. I'm the Tasting Room Manager at Headframe Spirits. My address is 1028 Placer. I'm here to make a public comment on 2024-71. A week ago, I wrote an email to my commissioner of my district. I'm not sure if I say it correctly, Riordan or Reardon. I saw that he CC'd Commissioner Fortune, but nobody else. So I would like to read the letter so that everybody can hear what I had to say. Dear Mr. Riordan, I am writing today to ask for your support in approving the amendment to Headframe's lease at the Kelly Mine. I've been an employee of Headframe for 12 years. The day I walked in the warehouse, the Kelly warehouse, was told we'd be utilizing the space in 3 months. I was in disbelief. The dirt floors were filled with literal garbage and miscellaneous junk the county was storing. To my shock, we cleaned up the space, poured concrete, and installed heat and lighting in order to continue our manufacturing side of our business. As we have grown, the use of the space has provided free sanitizer to all the county departments and hospitals during COVID. The space has also allowed us to expand our business model to become one of the largest whiskey producers in the country. As a commissioner, you should be proud, you all should be proud of what Headframe does for the community, both in kind, dollars out the door, and the cheerleading that we do for Butte. I am not sure if your hand went up when Commissioner Callahan asked who all went on our tour of our facility. If your hand did not go up, I encourage you to come see what is happening in our space. I am so proud to say I work at Headframe. I love walking in that building because I know the state that it was in when we started, and what we have done is impressive. I still walk in and I'm really proud to be there. You are my commissioner, and I'm asking for, as your constituent and as a taxpayer, because the comment that you replied with was that that you as commissioners are not in the real estate business, and that I need to read the clauses in the lease, and you feel that the taxpayers of Butte have been more than fair. I am a taxpayer, I'm your constituent, and I ask that you support this Headframe lease amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rosenleaf.
Mr. Chief Executive, members of the council, my name is Evan Barrett. I live at 807 West Silver. I'm here to speak about Headframe Spirits and the relationship they have with the Butte-Silver local government and with the community. I don't work for Headframe, but I've been integrally involved with them for 15 years. Starting when I was still in the governor's office to try to get the laws changed and give the opportunity for micro distilleries to move forth. I have been proudly since the last 12, 13 years a member of the Business Advisory Council for Headframe Spirits, and to try to help them to grow in this community and create jobs and growth that benefit the community. I must say that my closest connection to Headframe Spirits is occasionally have a sip of Orphan Girl bourbon cream liqueur, and it's that's about my closest connection to them. Money-wise, I pay them for that. I've enjoyed working with these folks because this has been from the ground up development. And right now, you know, we often get excited in economic development with newness, with the opportunity to do something new and exciting, and yet growth really comes from within, from those that have already invested in the community. Headframe Spirits has invested in the community has invested in them. It's been a great partnership. Right now, that'll be brought to fruition and allow even greater growth if they're able to proceed at the Kelly. And so I urge you to proceed with the amended lease that is going to be before you, and hopefully they can ultimately own this, working with you, so they can commit themselves even more long-term to the benefit of the community, in terms, because they are a great company that helps this community in a big way, produces jobs and growth. It's a win-win all the way with what you have in front of you, and I urge you to take positive action on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Is there any other public comment on?
Good evening, Council. My name is Macy Salser, and I live at 701 South Arizona. I will echo everything that's been said about them being good stewards of the site. I'm here to speak about Headframe Spirits. Good stewards of the site and good stewards in this community. My husband and I'm a local architect, and we located here a couple of years ago, but long before that, both John and Courtney advocated for us, introduced us to people, and were a part of our story of getting to Butte and being in this wonderful community and being accepted into the business community as well. And I really would implore you to agree with their amendment and move forward with hopefully the purchase. I think that it's a great use of the old mine site. It still tells the story of our history with, respecting where hopefully our future goes. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sulzer.
Hello, Chief Executive, councilors. My name is Mark Garf, 1149 Antimony Street. I'd like to speak on behalf of the Headframe lease and signing the amended lease. Headframe Spirits is a great local business. They employ, as we've heard, 33 people, and they've made investments in the Kelly warehouse that I don't think otherwise would have been made. And so we'll have that warehouse for many generations to come. And I think it's wonderful that they're in there distilling something that's, I'll admit, near and dear to my heart, whiskey. I think the more whiskey we can get in that building, the better. But I just want to reiterate what a great local business they are. I don't work for Headframe, and I hope that you'll move forward with signing this amended lease and then eventually selling the building to Headframe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garf.
Hello. Good evening, Chief Executive Gallagher and the Council of Commissioners. My name is Jamie Decker. I live at 671 South Washington Street. My husband and I also own several other various properties here in Butte. I'm probably more known for being the nurse practitioner who owns and operates Top Tech Medical Aesthetics and Wellness at 160 West Granite, right across the street. I'm from Butte, but we moved back to Butte here in 2021 from Billings, with sights set on leaving commercial medicine and opening my own practice. In doing so, John McKee was a big supporter, and while I purchased the building and supported me through the build-out of the project, every time I met a bump in the road, he reached out, supporting me through the process. In fact, the night of my company grand opening in November, I went to Headframe to pick up the purchased liquor for the grand opening, and I was met with half of it paid for by John in support of my new local business. John is a fellow small business owner who is more than willing to celebrate the hard work of other small business owners. I have patients who travel to see me on a regular basis from many southwest Montana cities, including Bozeman, Helena, Deer Lodge, Anaconda, Dillon, Divide, and the Big Hole Valley. More often than not, those nights are they travel to see me, and the trip is followed with a drink at Headframe and dinner at Casa Grande's. As a fellow small business owner, I know John has dedicated the better part of his life to this project, and I know what this amendment would mean to his business. I'm asking that you support him tonight and amend the lease agreement for John, Headframe Spirits, and his team. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Decker.
Mr. Chief Executive and members of the council, Martin Rogers, 1855 South 3rd Street West, Unit E, Missoula, Montana, 59801. I'm Headframe's attorney, and I just want to touch on a few short issues. The first is the 50-year lease that Carrie mentioned. I've closed billions of dollars of contracts. I'm probably one of the only attorneys in the state that has closed a contract over $1 billion. I can't tell you the value due to privilege of this contract, but it's a lot of money, and it will be a lot more money if Headframe has the space. And as you've heard, they pump that money into the community. And so I just want to impress on you, and I can say it's out-of-state money, which is, of course, good for the state and good for Butte. The second thing is, there was an alleged title issue that someone, I'm not sure who, brought up the other day, which is a non-issue, and I won't speak for Eileen, but Eileen and I agree that it's a non-issue. I'm happy to explain to anyone why it's a non-issue. The third thing is, Eileen and I have been working on the lease, or at least negotiating the lease, and I think, and I won't speak for her, that we've come to some sort of amicable resolution on that front, with Eileen representing the interests of the county and myself as Headframe. So if you have any questions about any of those things, please let me know afterwards or anytime. I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. And just to speak to that, we can't ask questions tonight in this, but thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to have public comment?
Hi, Chief Executive, Council, Commissioners. My name is Mary Payhead, and I'm retired, happily retired, and I have nothing in this discussion other than I want to tell you that Headframes has been such an asset to the Butte community, what they've brought here, what they've improved upon, and how they're spreading the wealth around to all of us. And I think that's really important. I've known John for just a couple years. I taught him at West Junior High many years ago, and he was a real pain in the ass. I have to tell you, and this is no surprise to him because I tell him that every time I see him, because he was in my honors English class, and I knew that every night when I went home, I better study and do my homework and be very thorough, because no matter what I said he was going to challenge me on, that's not a bad thing. I just had to be prepared. But I see his drive and his motivation and his love of Butte, that he wants to do so much here and make things so much better. And I really admire that in him. I've admired everything he's done, because he's driven and he's worked so hard. And I really hope you'll consider all of this and how it's making Butte better, as so many people and companies have. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Payette.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Council Commissioners, excuse me, I'm a little bit out of practice with this. I'm much more comfortable under a welding hood than I am in front of a podium anymore. I live at 800 South Montana, District 8. Commissioner Reardon, you are my commissioner. I'm here to speak in favor of
Could you
Head Frame
give us your
Spirits.
name? I'm sorry.
Sorry?
Could you give us your name?
Oh, Calvin Murphy.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you.
Excuse me. Here to speak in favor of 2024-71. I've been employed by Head Frame Spirits for a little over 3 years as a welder fabricator. Head Frame Spirits is the first job that I've had in my adult life that I haven't had to worry about working overtime just to make ends meet, worry about getting a second job. They pay actual living wages. I'm by no means anywhere close to management, anywhere higher up. I am a blue-collar worker, somebody that works with my hands. Head Frame Spirits not only pays me a wage that I'm able to live on, they also afford me the flexibility in my working schedule to attend classes at Montana Tech part-time, to pursue an environmental engineering degree so that I can further help my community afterwards. Head Frame Spirits has demonstrated a belief in this community and in myself that is really hard to explain. Head Frame Spirits isn't just a place that I go to work to get a paycheck, it's a place that I believe in. Excuse me. I was born and raised here in Butte, and I moved away for a period of time. I moved back, and one of the saddest things for me to see is the amount of businesses that were here since I was born, since I can remember, that have closed down over the years or been sold to out-of-state companies to take over in their place. I drive past Miller's Boots and Shoes every day on the way to work, and that breaks my heart more than most things, seeing that they're closing. Head Frame Spirits is here, it's still standing, it shows up for this community, it gives back to the community, and not only that, it is a local business born here in Butte, built in Butte, that brings money back to this community. We need to support Head Frame Spirits at least as much as, just a portion of what they have been supporting this community. Again, in favor of Head Frame Spirits 2024-71. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
Good evening, John McKee. I'm the owner at Head Frame, 341 Anaconda Road. I'm speaking to 2024-71. I just want to set on the record, I love you, Ms. Payette. I'm sorry I wasn't here 2 weeks ago when the council was discussing this before. I was in Costa Rica on a system install, and I wasn't able to speak to some of the questions that came up, and I thought I'd do a really quick, speak to a couple of issues that came up, and then do a really quick, hey, we found a solution for you. I think a couple of questions on the table were about Title 16, about us being able to lien the building. I wanted to just say really clearly that no, Head Frame has not ever used the property as collateral or got any loans or secured any financing of any kind using that building, period, full stop. I've submitted a letter, or I'll submit a letter right now with a letter from our bank saying the same. There is a deed of trust associated with the building, but very clearly both the deed and the terms of the lease speak to collateralizing the property of the lease at the Kelly, not the Kelly property itself, which means that the bank does not have an interest or can repossess the property in the event of us defaulting on the loan, nor were any Head Frame loans established using county property as collateral. Said clear, if I default on my loan, the bank has a security on my lease. They do not get your building. However, I do want to discuss one quick thing in regards to that lien issue that everybody has a concern about. In county regs and county code, this is allowed. And you already have a precedent of a very successful business in Butte that the city council and executive team has supported and allowed to put a collateral position against the building to then buy it. I guess one of the comments in that meeting 2 weeks ago is that they want me to, Head Frame, to play by the same rules. Well, then why don't you want me to be allowed to do that? Because you allowed someone else to do it. So I just feel like there's a couple miscommunications I want to clear up. On the renegotiating rates, I just wanted to say that's locked in rates for a reason. Back when we negotiated this lease in 16 with the executive team at the time, the building needed $800,000 in order to be rentable, put into it. And so rather than ask the taxpayers or Butte-Silver to put any money in at all, we put the money in. And then we asked for a flat rate to amortize those expenses across because we don't own the building. So the reason we have a flat rate in the lease, and I can get more detail, I'm trying to get this done in under 3, but The point being, Commissioner Thatcher, you just had this really, really awesome comment about the cost of doing business. And I just wanted to say that was something we took into account. The cost of us doing business in that was putting in $800,000 into the building and asking for a flat line on our lease to amortize those expenses because we didn't own it. On wastewater discharge, there was a lot of concern about that. And I want to say that I'm going to go fast on this one. Director Neary had some really direct words for me on Friday afternoon in the Chief Executive's office, and he said it's been a rocky road on getting this thing done. He's absolutely right. I will say that we're underneath a compliance certificate, which means we are in compliance with our discharge at this time. But I need this lease to install the system. Commissioner Callahan called it out really well. I need this lease in order to put this system in a heated space. It can't go outside, it'll freeze. So I need your help. It's a chicken or the egg thing. I can't get in compliance unless you help me get this lease. And then there's just one last thing. I sort of hear this, I'll make this fast, but I sort of hear this, this refrain sort of over and over again about Headframe taking handouts from Butte-Silver Bow or from taxpayers. I just want to set the record straight. We've taken 2 grants from the city, $30,000 from URA back in 2011, and in 2015 we took about $50,000 in Hard Rock money for the Kelly. That's it. We've never taken another dime, and those are business development monies. So to sort of wrap that up, I just want to say we've never been here and asked for a single tax rebate for opening our business or creating new jobs, and last week at this podium, Sonata was asking you guys to give them a tax rebate for new jobs. We've never asked.
Thanks. Mr. McKee, thank you for your time
I
today.
appreciate your time. Thank you. And I'm ready to
I
answer
appreciate
more
that, and
questions.
we'll probably have more discussion
I
on this.
appreciate you guys.
So you may
Thanks so
get
much.
called up again. Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Mr. Boyle.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Council of Commissioners, my name is Matt Boyle, 922 West Copper. I'm not going to have quite the follow-up to him that would be expected. He's hard to follow. But I'm definitely in support of the amendment for Headframe Spirits. Headframe is a business that just kind of raises everybody around them. They have invested in my business in sponsorships for events. They were probably one of the first businesses to welcome me with open arms instead of be scared of the stuff that I was bringing to town at the time. And yeah, I just think what they've done with the building on Montana Street and the Kelly is absolutely incredible. And I think giving them more time is about the best thing we can do. And they always paint this town in a good light. They've spread the name in a positive way. And yeah, I'm in full support.
Thank you, Mr. Boyle. Is there any other public comment on tonight's agenda? On any item? Seeing none, we'll move on to Section 1, bid openings, public hearings, and/or presentations. We have 2 bid openings, communication number 2024-66 and communication number 2024-67. County Attorney, do we have proof of publication?
Mr. Chief Executive, there is proof of publications for both bid openings, and both appear to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce. We'll move on to item number 1, communication number 2024-66, Mark Neary, Public Works Director, requesting Council Commissioners authorization to schedule a bid opening for February 21st, 2024 for a Vector truck for the Metro Division. Director Neary.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Commissioners, looks like we have 4 bids tonight. The first one is from Normont out of Great Falls, Montana.
And Mr. Chief Executive, there is a bid bond in the amount of 10% from a licensed surety company that appears to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce.
Chief Executive Gallagher, the total price is $564,975. $564,975.
That's $564,975.
Our second bid is from SWS Equipment out of Frenchtown, Montana.
Mr. Chief Executive, there is a bid bond in the amount of 10% from a licensed surety company that appears to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce.
Chief Executive Gallagher, the total on this is $595,500. $595,500.
$595,500.
Our next bid is from Joe Johnson Equipment, Billings, Montana.
Mr. Chief Executive, there is a bid bond from a licensed surety company in the amount of 10% that does appear to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce.
Chief Executive Gallagher, the total is $569,489. $569,489.
$569,489.
Our final bid is from Coyce Brothers out of Great Falls. So good, too. That's just the total.
Mr. Chief Executive, there is a bid bond in the amount of 10% from a licensed surety company that does appear to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce. They put it in a nice folder for you.
Yeah, that's all that's nice about it. Chief Executive Gallagher, the total on this is $533,166. $533,166.
That's $533,166. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to refer this back to the Public Works Department for a recommendation back to this body.
We have a motion and a second to refer back to the Public Works. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yea, 0 nay. 12 yea, 0 nay. Motion passes. Moving to item number 2, communication number 2024-67. Jim Keenan, Water Plant Superintendent, requesting Council Commissioners authorization to schedule a bid opening for February 21st, 2024 for supply of liquid aluminum sulfate to be used at the Butte-Silver water and wastewater treatment plants. Director Neri.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. It looks like we have 4 bids for this chemical too. The first one is from Thatcher Company out of Missoula.
Mr. Chief Executive, there is a bid bond in the amount of 10% from a licensed surety company that appears to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce.
Chief Executive Gallagher, the total price on this is $575, and that's a price of dry ton, $575.
$575, and that is for a dry ton.
Our second bid is from Univar Solutions out of Kent, Washington. There's a note in here that says they're, unfortunately, we are unable to bid at this required time.
So no bid for Univar Solutions.
So,
A lot of work to put that in there.
the next one is from Pinco out of San Felipe, Texas. Here's the cutter. This one's awful light, too. Yeah. No bid. Unfortunately, they couldn't bid either.
PEMCO is a no bid as well.
The final bid is from Kermara Water Solutions out of Lawrence, Kansas. Nobody follows directions.
Mr. Chief Executive, there is a bid bond in the amount of 10% from a licensed surety company that appears to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce.
Chief Executive Gallagher, this price per dry ton is $783 even.
That's $783 per dry ton.
Yes.
Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to refer this back to the Public Works Department for a recommendation back to this body.
We have a motion and a second to refer back to the Public Works Department. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? Would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yea, 0 nay. 12 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving to Section 2, Communications, A 1 through 4, and B 1 through 17, and with the addition of, this goes on to the suspension. Does this go on the regular agenda after? Because it has to be, okay. So A 1 through 4, B 1 through 17. Are there any segregations or friendly amendments? Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I would like to segregate item number 10 from the Committee of the Whole, communication number 2024-71.
Communication 2024-71 out of the Committee of the Whole. Are there any others? Commissioner Sorich.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I'd like to segregate out of Section A, committee reports. It would be Section number 4, Judiciary Committee Report, and it would be Council Bill number 2024-2.
Okay, 2024-2.
In the Judiciary Committee report.
I'm just
in
trying to
Section
find
A.
it. Okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Any other? Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I'd like to segregate, apologies, 12, I'm losing my spot here. 12, communication number 2024-88.
That's item number 12, communication number 2024-88. Is there anything, any other friendly amendments or segregations? Seeing none, Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to approve Section 2 of the consent agenda, A 1 through 4, B 1 through 17, with the exceptions of Section 4, Council Bill number 2024-02 out of the Judiciary Committee report, Communication 12, Communication number 2024-88, and Communication 10, Communication number 2024-71 out of the Committee of the Whole.
We have a motion and a second to approve tonight's consent agenda. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. So we'll move first to item number 3, Council Bill number 2024-02, ordinance number 2024-02, an ordinance creating Chapter 12-20 of the City County of Butte-Silver Municipal Code entitled the Public Arts, establishing a public art program to include works of art within the certain city county projects, setting procedures to commission and select public art, providing for a funding source for ongoing maintenance of public art, and prescribing a procedure to deaccession public art, and providing for an effective date herein. Commissioner Sorich.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I have a real simple question. This is in Section H, Public Art Trust Fund. It says Public Art Trust Fund is a funding mechanism which aggregates portions of the individual private site-specific public art requirements and redistributes these funds. My question is, are these funds to be used countywide, or is it going to be just within its district? District.
Thank you, Commissioner Sorich, and I'm going to invite Director Burns up here to answer your question. So welcome, Director Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. As members of council, I'm Karen Burns, Director of Community Development. This would be a county-wide ordinance and would allow for the installation of public art anywhere that the committee that would be formed would want to elect to install public art in public spaces.
Thank you, Director Burns.
Okay. Thank you, Karen. That's all I have.
Okay. Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Director Burns, I think that you touched on this in Judiciary last week, but just for full council, you talked about like the 1%. We are not doing that, correct? How will this be funded?
Commissioner Thatcher, Director Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive, Commissioner Thatcher, members of council. So that's correct. I had referred to an ordinance in Missoula And they do have a percent for art program that they've adopted. We elected not to put that into this ordinance. We are really looking at getting this public art committee established, processes in place, the ability to then apply for different grants and things that could help fund this, and then work to how we would move this project forward as public art for our community. So it's just really establishing that framework.
Thank you, Director Burns. Any other questions for Director Burns? See none? Thank you. Commissioner Sorch.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. After hearing that, I would motion that we move this to second reading.
We have a motion and a second to move this to second reading. Is there anything else on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to, out of the committee of the whole report, item number 10, communication number 2024-71, J.P. Gallagher, Chief Executive, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to have Chief Executive Gallagher sign the second amended lease. The lease outlines the expanded premise of the Kelly Warehouse commercial building and increase the lease fee structure. Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Obviously, we're all familiar with what has been going on. I was not at the first meeting where this was discussed. I was in another state moving my son, but I did watch the meeting online. I did take the tour. And obviously, the parties have heard the council and are working on integrating some of the council's recommendations into a new agreement. That will be drawn up and attached to the communication for it to be publicly vetted for the required time periods for open meetings. And so with that being said, I just wanted to let that process out, and I would just make a motion to continue to hold this in abeyance to vote on next week.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move to be voted on next week. And I'd just like to make a quick comment on that. I've been working with the county attorney as we've been working. We want to make sure that all the language within the amended lease that we're recommending is put in front of everyone so that you're able to view that and go over that, so that if there's any questions, you can reach out to us ahead of time so we can answer those questions for you. If we were to try to do this tonight, I don't think you don't have that in front of you. You're not able to look at how we've amended some of that language and work with Mr. Rogers on that with County Attorney Joyce and the attorney for head frame. So that's our recommendation here. Any other comments? Commissioner Reardon.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Just a question to you is, Mr. McKee going to be able to be with us next week to answer some questions, or should we visit with him and let him finish his scenario, giving him more than the 3 minutes that was there?
Commissioner Reardon, I would let Mr. McKee answer that question. Commissioner Reardon was asking if you will be with us next Wednesday at the Committee of the Whole meeting to answer questions.
Yes, sir. Mr. Reardon, I'll be anytime, anywhere. Okay. Okay. Of course, I'm going to speak to more night. All right. We cut you kind of short tonight. That's what I wanted to hear some more with you. All right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reardon. And the reason that we did that tonight, it was because, as we all know, in public comment, you can't ask questions. So there really is no dialogue back and forth, and this allows for that to happen next week. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Thank you, Mr. McKee, for being here. I would hope we get the contract prior to, so we have time to review it. I don't think I personally have anything against the contract, but I think there's some language in there that needs to be cleared up from the last time, and I visited a few people about it, and I just think it'd be best if this became more of a public thing for the commissioners rather than, you know, the meeting between you and the county attorney and their attorney. I would hope that we get something ahead of time so that we can review it and make amendments as we see fit or need to be put in the in the agreement, because you know,
if we don't have that time, it's gonna be pretty hard to get a vote next week. So I would hope we get that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. That was to my previous comment, so we could get that to you guys so that you could review it. If there's any questions that council members do have, that you're able to reach out to me, to the county attorney, to Mr. McKee's attorney, or however we want to do that. So that was the reason. That's why we didn't try to come up here and ask for it to be approved and try to amend it on the floor here tonight. So any other questions of commissioners? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. Is there anything else on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And this is just to move it to next week. Okay. And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Motion passes. Moving back to item number 12, communication number 2024-88, Hattie Thatcher, Butte-Silver Bowl Council Commissioners, District 3, requesting Council Commissioners consideration to continue the 1 mil economic development levy through fiscal year 2026 and request the County Attorney's Office to draw up a resolution to be passed by the Council. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I spoke with Commissioner Thatcher earlier, and she kindly pointed out that I made the wrong recommendation to place this on file, and we need to hold this so the resolution can be drafted. And so at this point, I move to concur and hold communication number 2024-88.
We have a motion and a second to concur and hold communication number 2024-88. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0
12 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to section 3, ordinances and resolutions to be introduced into judiciary. Oh yes, we need to do our suspension of the rules. We have, moving on to communication number 2024-94, Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to concur and place communication number 2024-94 on file.
There's a motion and a second to concur and place on file communication number 2024-94. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to section 3, ordinances and resolutions introduced to judiciary. We have two of them, Council Bill number 2024-03 and resolution number 2024-06. Please note those. We've already taken action on section 4, ordinances and resolutions on second reading, so we'll move on to section 5, ordinances and resolutions for final reading. We have two of those. First one.
I think we still need to vote on section 4.
Oh, do we need to do that again? I thought
Yep.
we had. Okay, my bad. Okay, section 4, ordinances and resolutions for second reading, Council Bill number 2024-02. Clerk, please read the caption.
An ordinance creating Chapter 12.20 of City County of Butte-Silver Bow Municipal Code entitled Public Art, establishing a public art program to include works of art within certain city-county projects, setting procedures and commission of select public art, providing funding source for ongoing maintenance of public art, and prescribing a procedure of deaccession public art and providing an effective date herein.
Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Council Bill number 2024-02 on second reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second placing Council Bill number 2024-02 on second reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 1 nay.
11 yea, 1 nay, motion passes. Moving on to section 5, ordinances and resolutions for final reading. We have a couple of them tonight. So first one is Council Bill number 2024-01. Clerk, please read the caption.
An ordinance amending sections of chapter 10.52 entitled Parking, specifically amending sections .10.52.10180, 10.52.190, repealing sections 10.52.390, 10.52.540, 10.52.605, 10.52.650, 10.52.740, 10.52.790, 10.52.855, 10.52.970, 10.96.010, and providing an effective date herein.
Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Council Bill number 2024-01 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second placing Council Bill number 2024-01 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Motion passes. Moving on to resolution number 2024-01. Clerk, please read the caption.
A resolution calling for an election of the question of conducting a local government review and establishing a study commission for the city and county of Butte-Silver Bow, state of Montana, providing for such election to be held on the date of the primary election in 2024, providing for the number of positions on the study commission, and providing an effective date herein.
Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Council Bill or Resolution number 2024-01 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second placing resolution number 2024-01 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. When I was looking through this resolution, I noticed, well, I couldn't see the dollar amount. And so I see that we have 9, it says XXX, 9 members, which is fine. And then it says farther down, XXX dollar amount. And I looked through it a couple, and maybe I'm missing something, but what was the actual dollar amount, and should it be in here if we're going to pass it?
So I think Commissioner Thatcher may have a response to this. Commissioner Thatcher.
I'm not sure if I'm the correct person to respond to this, but Commissioner Frederickson, we opted to do $70,000 per year up to $140,000 for 2 years.
Okay. Follow up?
Follow-up question, Commissioner Frederickson.
And being that this is on final reading, should that number be, okay. I have it in, well, it's still online, it's still highlighted. And it's line 15, against review of the government of City and County of Butte-Silver Bow, and establish the funding not to exceed XXX of a local government study commission consisting of XXX members.
So County Attorney Joyce.
So I should amend my motion. I guess I'll amend it with the added 9 members to the XXX and the 70,000 per year.
Not to exceed 140.
No. Oh, amended to line 15, section 4, page number 3 out of the 4, to amend it to add the 9 members and not to exceed 140,070 per year.
We have a motion and a second. Anything on the question, Commissioner Thatcher?
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. An additional amendment we planned to make was to remove the part with the ex officio member until the committee is formed. So that, I did write all of that. I don't know where it went.
Thank you, Commissioner Thatcher. Commissioner O'Neill?
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I just don't feel like we're ready to push this one through tonight if all the information is not there. I, one, can't read it, and if you're saying there's other stuff that needs to be on there, then...
Okay. Commissioner Shea?
I think it would probably behoove us to make the amendments on the floor right now because we are under timelines to get this resolution passed so it can be on the ballot. So, looks like clerical errors. So, the one I'm looking at online shows, I don't know, maybe somebody's looking for looking at a cached version of it online or something, but if we need to make the amendments. Please.
Thank you, Commissioner Shea. County Attorney Joyce, can you guide us a little here?
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I think that is my fault that I didn't get those amendments to Barb to post the right resolution. I think that there is time, if I recall, Clerk and Recorder Linda Sager Joyce indicated that we have until March 9th, I think, for her to be able to have it for the ballot. She needed it in that period of time. Are you agreeing with me, Commissioner Thatcher? So if you want to go ahead and hold it, it would be on the Committee of the Whole next week, and we could segregate it out on the 6th.
All right.
To
well,
pass
I will
it with the
amend my
appropriate
motion
amendments.
again to hold this. I move to hold this resolution number 2024. Put it to the Committee of the Whole. Sure.
We have a motion and a second to hold this in the Committee of the Whole and take action next week. Is there anything else on the question? Commissioner Callahan to County Attorney Joyce. The question was, does this need to be the full council? Or does it go to judiciary?
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chief Executive, Commissioner Callahan. It probably would be better if it went back to the Judiciary Committee where we could make the amendments and then they could vote and be approved by the full council.
All right, I'll amend my motion again to hold and refer back to the Judiciary Committee for the added language amendments. Yeah.
We have a motion and a second to move back to the judiciary to make the amendments. Is there anything else on the question? Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Not really on the question, but since we're not opting to put this on the ballot, we're not necessarily under the same time crunch. So I want to reassure everybody that we're okay to be holding this because it's not going to be hopefully placed on the ballot. So. Isn't this the... Never mind, I take back what I'm talking about. This one is going to the ballot, it needs to be done.
That is correct. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to refer back to judiciary to make the amendments to take action on. Is there anything else on the question? Could commissioners please vote? To judiciary, to make amendments, and then take action. Is there anything, anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to ordinance and resolutions for emergency suspension of the rules. We have one resolution number 2024-03. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move for the suspension of the rules for the purpose of passing resolution number 2024-03 by waiving subsection 7 of Rule 36 of the Rules and Order of Business of the Council of Commissioners, thereby having it considered for advanced passage without reference to the Judiciary Committee.
We have a motion and a second for the emergency suspension of the rules for resolution number 2024-03. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? Commissioners, please vote. And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yea, 0 nay. 12 yea, 0 nay. Motion passes. Moving back to resolution number 2024-03. Clerk, please read the caption.
An ordinance amending chapters 2.36, 3.12. A resolution amending the City County of Butte-Silver fiscal year 2024 budget after conducting a public hearing at a regular scheduled meeting of the Council of Commissioners in accordance with Section 7-6-4006 MCA, appropriating unanticipated revenue from the United States Department of Justice Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant to the Butte-Silver Law Enforcement Department and providing an effective date herein.
Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place resolution number 2024-03 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second placing resolution number 2024-03 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Commissioners, please vote. And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
12 yea, 0 nay.
12 yea, 0 nay. Motion passes. Moving on to calendar and other meeting and events. Please note all of the different meetings that we have coming up. Next, I'll move on to any public comment on any matter not on the agenda. Seeing none, I just want to make one comment to the commissioners tonight. I was talking to Commissioner Frederickson before we started tonight. I think it's important for us to recognize the work that our public boards do for Butte-Silver, and so we talked about bringing them in so that we give some recognition to them. They do a lot of work for not a lot of reward and sometimes a lot of criticism, and I don't think we do enough for them to recognize that. And so we're going to plan something together, and so I think we'll do something maybe in the rotunda, do a nice little social, and then recognize them in one of our council meetings. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there for everyone to know. So with that, I will take a motion to adjourn. We have a motion and a second. Is there all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed?